This research paper studies different cruciferous vegetables like cabbage and broccoli in a controlled natural environment, focusing on differences in their nutritional properties. The work was carried out by scientists at the Indian Institute of Vegetable Research, where my role was to separate chemical compounds. The aim of the study was to compare bioactive compounds in these vegetables, such as antioxidants, vitamin C, beta-carotene, lutein, alpha-tocopherol, and total phenols. For this purpose, advanced analytical techniques were used to examine their internal chemical components. The process is described as follows.
You know these guys, right? Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower. They're pretty much everywhere, and we're always told they're good for us. But deep inside their cells, there's a hidden world of powerful compounds, little antioxidant warriors fighting for our health. And that makes you wonder.
Okay, so let's get right to it. We know they're healthy, but are they all the same level of healthy? If you had to put your money on one of them being the ultimate antioxidant powerhouse, which one would you pick? Well, today, we're not going to guess. We're going to find the real answer, backed by some serious science.
So first, let's get to know the family at the heart of all this, the Brassicas. You might know them as cruciferous vegetables. For a long time, scientists have been pointing to this group as major players when it comes to human health and nutrition.
So what's their secret weapon? Well, it's all about what's inside. They are just loaded with nutrients and these special things called phytochemicals, which are basically the plant's own natural defense system. And because of that, diets packed with these veggies have been linked to a lower risk for all sorts of diseases. It's thanks to these powerhouse antioxidants, things like vitamin C, vitamin E, carotenes, and more complex stuff like phenolics. And those are the very molecules we are hunting for in this investigation.
And that's where our story really begins. See, while scientists knew these vegetables were good for us, they realized there was a big gap in what we knew. We didn't have a really precise head-to-head comparison for a lot of the common varieties that people actually eat.
So a team of researchers decided, okay, let's settle this. They launched a full-on systematic investigation, which they published in this paper. And their goal was simple, to meticulously measure and compare the exact antioxidant levels in a whole bunch of these popular vegetables.
And here is the exact reason why this was so important. As they point out in the paper, sure, there were other studies out there, but nobody had done a really thorough job looking at these specific varieties or cultivars that are grown in India. You can think of cultivars as just different breeds of the same vegetable. And this was a huge blind spot they wanted to fix.
So the mission was clear. Use some seriously precise technology, called HPLC, to get the hard data on the antioxidant content in 5 key players: broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Chinese cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. This was all about getting exact measurements, no guesswork involved.
All right, so to get that kind of data, you can't just look at a vegetable. You have to take it from the farm field and bring it straight into a high-tech chemistry lab. So let's pull back the curtain and see exactly how they did this. Now, the star of this whole operation is a machine called a high-performance liquid chromatography system, or HPLC for short. The easiest way to think about it is like a molecular racetrack. You inject a complex mix of stuff from the vegetable, and this machine separates every single compound out, letting you measure each one with incredible accuracy.
And this whole process is meticulous. First, they take the fresh vegetable and blend it up into a uniform paste. That's called homogenizing. Then they use special solvents to pull out only the compounds they want to study. After that, a clever heating process called saponification gets rid of other stuff that might interfere, like chlorophyll. And finally, that purified sample gets injected into the HPLC, where a detector spots and measures each antioxidant as it comes flying out.
And after all that incredibly careful work, what do they have? Exactly what they were looking for. Precise, hard numbers for every key antioxidant: vitamin C, beta-carotene, lutein, vitamin E, and total phenolics. Now they had the data.
Okay, so the lab work is done. It's time to crunch the numbers. And almost immediately, the data started telling a really interesting story, one that made our original question a little more complicated.
Just take a look at this. This is the vitamin C content in 2 different types of cabbage. The Sprint Ball variety had about 23.5 milligrams, but the Kirch 11 variety, only 5.7. I mean, that is a massive difference. We're talking more than 4 times less.
And that right there is one of the first huge takeaways from this study. The antioxidant levels don't just vary between, say, broccoli and cabbage. They can vary a ton based on the specific genetic variety you pick. So the cabbage you buy one week could have way different nutritional values than the one you buy the next.
But the researchers didn't stop there. They wanted to answer our big question. So by calculating the average values for each type of vegetable, they could finally figure it out. It was time to crown the champion.
All right, here we go, the main event. Let's look at the average vitamin C content. Brussels sprouts came in around 15.8 milligrams. Cauliflower did a bit better at 19.3. But then you look at broccoli and wow, it just blows the others out of the water, clocking in at a massive 52.9.
Just let that sink in. We're talking nearly 3 times more vitamin C than its closest competitors in this group. In this category, it was an absolute, undisputed win. But the story doesn't even end there.
Check out this final tally. This table tells the whole story. Broccoli didn't just win on vitamin C. It also had the highest average levels of beta-carotene, the most lutein, the most vitamin E, and the highest total phenolic content. I mean, it's a clean sweep. Across every single antioxidant they measured, broccoli was number 1.
So, there we have it. We have our answer. But you know, the real magic of science isn't just what happens in the lab. It's how that knowledge makes its way into our world, onto our plates. Why does this actually matter?
Well, here are the big takeaways. First, this study is solid proof that these veggies are amazing sources of antioxidants. Second, and this is really important, the specific variety you put in your shopping cart can make a huge difference. Third, among the vegetables in this study, broccoli is an absolute nutritional superstar. And finally, and this might be the most exciting part, this kind of precise data gives plant breeders a roadmap. They can use it to create new varieties of vegetables that are even more packed with these healthy compounds.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating thought. This kind of research isn't just about telling us what to eat today. It's actually giving us the tools to design the food of the future. By really understanding the chemistry inside our vegetables, we might be taking the first step toward breeding the super vegetables of tomorrow.